what is the most important thing that we can do to find what we're looking for. And out of the sea of awareness came the answer: let go of struggle and know who you really are. And in that moment and over the following couple of months, the information, wisdom came through me, and I was shown how to shift from that cement-like struggle to a state of knowing and love and beauty, and being able to deal instantly with challenges that arose.
Marianne McGuire, welcome to Passion Harvest.
Thank you so much. It's my absolute honor and pleasure to be here, Louisa.
My honor too, and you have some incredible experience that I'd love you to share with the Passion Harvest audience. If you don't mind, for those that haven't heard of you, do you mind just sharing briefly a bit of your background and how you came to be here today?
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. So, starting from the beginning, I never forgot where I came from before I came into the physical. So I never fully forgot. And when I was a child of around about 6 years of age, I had a profound spiritual experience. And I remember standing in my childhood home, and a knowing appeared above me, and it flowed through me, and it was all around me. And it was like, it's extremely hard to use words to describe this, but it was like another dimension became apparent. And I had access to all knowing all at once. And I really do want to interject here for one moment and say, this is you. So you, your beautiful audience, anybody listening and watching this is you. This isn't just me. I want to make it very clear, like, oh, I had this experience. There's nothing special about me. Well, in that we're all special and magnificent. It's really important for me to say that. Because this is who we really are. This is who we really are. So this knowing appeared above me, and I had access to all knowing. And you know what was fascinating, looking back on it later, was that it felt so familiar and completely normal. Completely normal, like this is who we are. And I was shown certain fundamental universal truths about how life works and the nature of time and polarity. And I knew right now, it's like I was given call now oneness codes, but back then I'd no words for, because, well, at that age, I was just learning how to, it wasn't long before I could learn how to read and write. I call them now oneness codes. And so, for example, I knew that there was something so beautiful and so ineffably beautiful and so beyond our idea of what we call heaven, and that this is all around us and within us at all times. And so that's how I know that it's just so important to focus our attention and use our intention to focus on this. And we all know it. It's all in our hearts. It's who we really are. It's within us, and it's all without. It's without. It's within and without. And when we focus on this, rather than on the struggle, on the fear, we can receive guidance and the information that we need while we're here having this experience, as being human here on Earth. Because we're having a human experience. We're not actually human. We're divine love. We're consciousness just having this experience. And so one of the other codes that I received was that this physical existence where we live our everyday physical lives isn't real. And I say that with respect. It's very hard to find words to express this. And I don't want to say, oh, it's not real. Oh, then what's the point? We'll just, no. It really should be honored and respected. But I knew, and I've known always, that this physical realm is not real. It's a projection coming from what is real, which is oneness, which is divine love. So, I mean, I can use like crude examples, like, this is like watching a black and white movie. And then what is real is like, glorious Technicolor, but even that is so crude it just can't be explained. Um, so that really, as far as I'm concerned, takes the weight off, because anxiety and fear, even though they seem so real, they're not real either. So when this experience was over, and of course it never is over for any of us, I just went, just got on with my day and never spoke about it ever to anyone. And to be perfectly, honest, I thought until I was a fully grown adult that everybody had these experiences and we all knew where we came from. And it was only, I found out later on that wasn't the case. But it seems so familiar, and because it wasn't separate from me. It's like, it was like just my hand. It's not separate from me. It was so normal and familiar. Um, and I couldn't have articulated it. It was only like at that young age, it was only later that the experience became clothed in words. And I actually asked later on my guides, I was like, how did, at that young age, how was I able to understand those concepts? How did I understand them at that age? And the answer I got back was my infinite being received this information from source, and the child that I was bore witness to it. And I can actually remember like absorbing it and then keeping it with me. And there's a reason I kept it with me. It's because the time is now, during this awakening, for me to share this with people, because I kept it to myself for all of my life. So that's amazing and really, really exciting. And it unfurled as time went on until it presented itself again. And it's really, I feel, to fulfill our purpose. There's a reason for this. There's a reason why it's happening, and it's fulfilling our purpose, which is profound. It's really profound and it's amazing. So I really cherish this information because I wasn't taught it and I didn't read it. I didn't read it in a book. I really cherish it. And it's facilitating my mission to nudge people into remembrance of the magnificence of who they really are. So it's huge. It's huge for me. But in contrast to that gorgeous, expansive, beautiful experience that I cherish, I went through my childhood feeling contracted and boxed in much of the time, and there was a lot of fear, dominant father, rage, trauma. And so I wasn't received by my family, whom I love dearly. And then when I was in my late teens, I really had this longing in my heart. And I missed what I knew, I missed it so much. And so I thought I might find what I was looking like. I had this unshakable certainty. It was almost like I fell into slumber during times of well, difficulty, struggle, trauma, whatever it was, because it's tough being here on earth sometimes, not all the time. And so I was searching, and I thought I'll become an artist, and I noticed I was always painting a light, and that contrast of dark. My paintings are much more light now, but they were quite dark back then. I wasn't a dark person, very loving, very light, but it's so interesting, the contrast, because the darkness accentuates the light. The darkness serves the light, and I couldn't create a painting that's all light because there's no contrast. So it's like I love in spring dappled shadow, the shadow and the light, because it accentuates it. It's so beautiful. So anyway, I went on to try to find it in art, became a painter. I studied history of art. I worked in fine art auctioneering, and I managed a fine art gallery. And even though that sounds all very organized, I felt so lost. I felt so lost, like, and the pressure I put on myself, am I on my path? Am I on my path? Am I on my path? I can't even tell you. And it was really a horrible feeling. All this pressure I was putting on myself. And it was pretty much 20 years past of me searching. until one day I found something, there was like this energy building within me, and I knew it was significant. And so I stopped and I asked my guides, I asked my higher self, I asked Source, out of everything I've been through, after all the searching and experimenting and discovering and studying, what is the most important thing that we can do to find what we're looking for? And out of the sea of awareness came the answer: let go of struggle and know who you really are. And in that moment, and over the following couple of months, the information, wisdom came through me, and I was shown how to shift from that cement-like struggle to a state of knowing and love and beauty, and being able to deal instantly with challenges that arose. So it was absolutely extraordinary the way it happened. I received all this information. And I wrote it all down, and I put it up on this big glass wall, and I had all these A4 sheets, and I just sellotaped them all up to the wall. And then later on, I was like, okay, I was kind of guided. This goes here, this goes here. And then I saw how the paragraphs joined. Like, it was so cool the way it happened. And the whole thing was there, and it became my 3 stages of awareness program. But before, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, I was doing this for myself first. I had a feeling it would be for other people in the future, but I had to embody it. I had to embody this, of course, first. So I actually did that, and I reclaimed my birthright of power and expression that had been deprived in my childhood. And I used this for everything. And it was so exciting. I mean, I still do. Like, for example, big things and small things, big things and small things. For example, I used it for childbirth. In the past, I'd been absolutely terrified of childbirth. And I mean terrified to the point, you'd call it phobia. Because, and I'm not saying this like my parents have passed, but my mother, she just, oh God almighty, went on about how awful childbirth was. And she conditioned me, and I was to the point of, mother of God, what? Geez, I was so petrified, but I knew I wanted to have children. So I remember standing when I found out, the test stick, and it was positive, and this mixture of feelings, awe and profound privilege. But at the same time, my human self was going, I think I was shaking. And I could feel this fear. And I thought in that moment, because I knew, one of the things I knew was that the baby absorbs thoughts and feelings of the mother. And I thought, I'm not doing this. This is just my experience. I'm not inflicting this on my baby. And in that moment, using the information I got, I made a pure choice, what I call a pure choice. And I chose, and I knew, and I opened to my intuition, I knew that my body knew what to do. And I was going to let go of fear, because my back, not back was against the wall, but even 9 months. I couldn't say, oh, do you know what? I'll figure this out maybe over the course of the next 3 years. And you just stay in there. I'll keep my legs crossed. Like, that's not a thing. I couldn't do that. And that kind of pushed me as well. So I went from being completely terrified to the point of phobia to having a pain-free, drug-free, natural water birth at home twice. And I did all the things, and I had, the midwife there, and we went through all the precautions and all, and the ambulance knew where I was and all that. And I absolutely knew in my heart and soul I wouldn't need any of it. And it was extraordinary. And, oh, the whole thing was amazing. Actually, I had an out-of-body experience during my first one. But that's fun. It's funny, because I always knew we're not our bodies, we're not our minds. We're pure consciousness. I always knew that. But then when you actually have an out-of-body experience, so my body was in the water, in the birth pool, but my consciousness at the same time was in the back left-hand corner of the room, looking out the door, looking, not with eyes. because you're beyond senses, you know. It's consciousness is, you know, like 360-degree awareness. So that was amazing. And I was profoundly, profoundly grateful. Talk about practical childbirth. Is there anything more sacred and earthy than childbirth? So within all this, a lot of that had to do with surrender. And I don't like that word because words are so polarized and it's very hard to explain any of this using words. That's why it's really best to feel the frequency behind, you know, this and everything really. But within this whole adventure of receiving the 3 stages of awareness information, that was just so life-changing for me and for any, I will say, for anybody who used it. The most beautiful information came to me as part of it, and it was called Fallback, and it was to do with the divine surrender. And I realized that I needed to unlearn all that I'd learned, the conditioning, and this is what we need to do. And I was guided to a divine surrender, and it was like beyond time and space. And within that, I found what I'd been looking for after years of climbing to find the answer. And I felt total expansive peace and beingness. And I fell back into my own being. It was like I melted into my own being. And I fell back into presence, into love, into the embrace of truth. I fell back home. And in this space, this place, I connected with my source, my creator, and the clarity and expansion was just so beautiful. And it's here. It's not there. It's here. It's here for you watching and listening to this. It's ever present. Don't ever think that you're separate from it. That's the original wound, the wound of separation from source. You are not separate. You're not separate. So I went from being unable to express myself or have no power. And by power, of course, I don't mean power over, I mean true power, love. To standing in my own power, expressing myself as an artist, writer, speaker. And I help other people to do the same, which thrills me no end. And so when they work with me, I help them find what I call their deeper destiny. And the time is now. The time is now during this awakening. And I've known about it, I mean, all my life. I'm so excited about this now because I didn't realize just on a podcast last week, whatever, and I got emotional thinking about it because I'm like, yes, it's happening. And for all this time, like for 35 years, I've been waiting for it to happen, and it's happening now. And I don't know why that is flashing. Can you see that flashing behind? That's never happened. So now is the time. Now is the time. And I'm so excited because people are coming awake. So yeah, that just gives you a little indication of my story. And it's very hard to use words to explain what is ineffable.
Well, you're doing a very good job. And Marianne, you're so inspiring. You've got so much passion. It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions? Because I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to unpack this, but I guess we'll start sequentially, even though there's not really any time. But your pre-birth experience and where you came from, where do we come from?
That's one of the codes, so to speak, that I received. What people call heaven. My whole experience it was like beyond, beyond, beyond. So as much as I'd love to say, well, you know, and it's light and they're the pearly gates and Saint whoever meets you, Saint Peter, whatever, I didn't experience that. That's like a stage just above this, you know, it's in like a dimension or two just above this. What I experienced and where we all come from is source. And then source kind of for want of a better, I really don't like this, but it's like source divides itself, so to speak, to have the experience, different experiences of all different types, one of them being life as a human. But who we truly are is source, divinity, expansion, unconditional love. And we can tap into this and live our life from this space without wanting to escape here. Because a lot of people, and I know what this feels like, because when I was a teenager, I remember gazing up into the sky. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to go home. And I had this homesickness. And I had it on and off throughout my life. And I bet a lot of your listeners know what I'm talking about. And that's why I was driven. I was driven to help people because I didn't want them to feel this way. I always felt, strong and I can shoulder this. And, that's part of the reason why I was driven to uncover all of this and the 3 stages of awareness and everything. But then I realized that we always think it's almost like a trap that spiritual people can fall into, that it's always out there. It's out of arm's reach. And it's not. That's what messes us all up and what has us in so much pain. It really is within, but it's within and without and beyond. And we come here and we choose to have constraints and limitations upon ourselves because what fun would it be? And I really do say this with respect. I really don't want to say, oh, life's a game, yay! Oh my God, yeah, but it can be really, really heavy and we could be on our knees sometimes. So I really do say that with respect to what all of us have been through. But imagine if you came here as being omniscient and you knew everything and you were utter oneness and beauty and love and expansion, and you're playing a game. I mean, imagine being here and you're omniscient and you're playing, say, a game of cards, and you know what all your cards are going to be, and what the person you're playing with, you know what the next card is going to be. It'd get a bit boring very quickly. So we choose, as annoying as that can sound to people, to have limitations and constraints upon ourselves. So one of them is this, you might call it a veil of forgetfulness. And so I wasn't fully, I can remember. So I would have chosen for the veil not to have completely taken. That being said, I'm kind of glad I don't remember fully. I mean, when I go into meditation and I can, but while you're here on earth, you won't be able to remember fully because it's like just being plugged into, it's too much. It's way too much. Like if ceiling. Sometimes I feel it and I'm literally breathless. It's so much power. It's like I almost have to stop it. It's because we're having this human experience, but that's not the case when we move on. And it won't be the case also in time as we awaken and the 3D kind of falls away. It's not that we go from 3D to 5D. It's more an expansion of perception. It's like we perceive 5D, so to speak. So there's no need to escape. There's no need to want to escape and the gazing and the longing. I've been there. Oh God, I've been there. But there's no need because you're so magnificent and so powerful. And what happens if you tap into that power and start to bring it and live your everyday life here? And, inject some of that power into the daily minutiae. All of a sudden, like you smell a flower and it's like orgasmic, it's everything becomes magical and synchronicities happen. And all of a sudden, okay, oh, and the longing kind of dissipates because you realize this is an illusion. I'm not separate. That's what I meant by life. Like it's a dream here. And I don't want to, it is illusory though. Very careful about the words I use. And I mean, I used to have a post-it note, oh my God, I'm just remembering that now on my computer years ago. literally a yellow post-it note on my computer. This is an illusion. Until, and I was there for about a year or something to remind me. I knew, and I needed a reminding, and then I just got rid of it because it became, if you have something there to remind you, and then it becomes so familiar, it's like white noise in the
Yeah.
background. I'm like, oh, it's not doing its job. I just got rid of it. But I mean, I forget, and I know this in every fiber of my being, and I forget. Like, when your kids aren't listening to you or whatever, you forget.
The reality, or what we perceive as reality, it really helps us forget.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard, and the suffering, people
Mm.
can suffer so much for whatever reasons, loss, grief, there's many, many reasons.
Mm.
How
Yeah.
do we tap into that power that you're talking about, that we are, all of us are?
You don't resist it.
And what does that mean?
So what I found is that resistance can be the cause of so much pain in our lives. So the resistance of the pain is worse than the pain itself. So it is really necessary, so to speak, to become present. Because if you can trap yourself, and it's through no fault of our own. Absolutely, it's the way we were conditioned. But you can kind of become trapped when you're constantly thinking in the past or the future. So when you're worried about the forthcoming future, the future that's perpetually ahead of you, or if you're regretting the past or whatever it is imperative that to tap into your power, that you just shake away these illusions. I mean, it's not even real. And the fear, and you choose, because you're so powerful, you choose. I mean, the power of your choice. People don't understand the power of their, as I said, attention and intention, and the power of their choice. And you choose to become present. And this is not thinking about it, reading about it. Oh, isn't that a nice concept? No, you allow this in the moment. And of course, it's wonderful if you can to go into nature, because nature's a portal. Beauty is a portal. Presence is a portal, but it's more than that. Presence isn't just a nice concept. Presence is what you really are. Like, we are presence itself. It's not, I'm going to be present now as a tool so that I can handle my life. We are presence itself. And when you relax and fall back into the truth of that, like, I literally have goosebumps in up here. It's life just becomes so delicious because you're here now, and here and now in the present. This is where the power and the magic is. And this is where you stop when you're here. You stop reaching out, always reaching out to find the answer, because you are the answer. You're the magic. Presence is huge.
And from what I'm hearing, it's almost about removing all, as you said, past and future, all the distractions, that monkey mind that overthinks all the time and worries and creates fears, and the analytical mind.
Mm.
So if it's with our presence, do our thoughts in some way create this dream, this reality?
We're conditioned into it, because I remember being a baby, and I remember being around about 10 months old ish, because I was able to stand. So I don't actually know how old I was. But I was able to stand in my crib, and I remember being awareness. So, and I remember having the same, I remember being who I am now, except without the layers of conditioning over it and experience. But I can literally remember, I can tap into it now, and I was the same. So, which is why I have such respect for babies and children. I have profound respect for babies. I love babies. I love children. I love teenagers. Like, I love, because I get them. I get them. Because I never forgot. So, and then we're conditioned, and but it shouldn't be like, oh my God, we're conditioned, that's it. One of the things I was given, because I went through an awful lot myself, I went through a lot of trauma. And something I downloaded from Spirit was the 3 stages of awareness. And it's a very simple way of going within, and it can just take 2 minutes and allowing. So it's all about, rather than resisting and pushing away, it's about allowing what's coming up, what's arising to come up. And it leaves. And it can leave, say, through your, so you've got energy centers, you've got feeling centers. It might leave from another area of the body, say if you had an injury and something happened, like your arm or something was injured. Most of the time, it'll leave through the three main energy centers, which would be throat, heart, and solar plexus. Very often, solar plexus and heart. And then you kind of clear yourself away. You clear all the stuff that you don't need away, and then who you really are, like it's there. The thing that we need to remember is that perfect well-being exists already within you. I mean, how cool is that? So it's not like I got to strive, I got to climb the ladder, I got to reach out. It's like just remind yourself that you are whole already. You are totally connected to what you might call heaven, or that expansive, beautiful dimension. This is who you really are. You can play here, you can have fun here, you can expand here. It's kind of like removing the rocks that get in the way so that the beingness and the perfect well-being that's already in existence can blossom. And then that will be reflected in your relationships, your career, like whatever, money, however you express yourself, that kind of practical end of things, and your health.
Mm.
And so really practical, because I may be up there and living kind of multi-dimensionally as we all can. I'm still really practical, grounded, more so than a lot of people. And I'm an artist. Like, it is very unusual to have that, but I do. I think it's because I'm holding space for a lot of people, and a lot of creative people do work with me, but business people as well. So I know, I get it. But perfect well-being exists within you already. And it just needs to be, there's no need even. I don't even like using that word, need, it's necessary, but you know what I mean. It's with everybody listening, everybody watching this, like they're so precious and beautiful and magical and powerful, and it's all there. It's all here. It's even that word there. No, it's here now. Like, it's so exciting, and they can tap into it because that's all an illusion. That whole idea that we're separate from source. We're not. That's an illusion. We're not separate. We are oneness itself. Like, that's what we are fundamentally, oneness. And that's what I felt. That was, oh God, that was one of the things that I felt with that. Like, I had lots of different experiences when I was a child, but that particular, I remember that one, and this glorious, and it was like beyond the cosmos, because the cosmos is physical representation. That's like rejection as well. And this is beyond that. And if people only knew, their magnificence, and they can tap into it. Like, go out in nature and don't put pressure on yourself. Like, oh my God, I'm going to go into nature now. Okay, this better happen. It's like meditation, Okay, mala beads, sit in the lotus position. I can't sit in the lotus position. Never could. I can't do it. You don't have to. You don't need mala beads. You don't have to do any of that. You don't have to be all namaste. You don't have to be, I mean, with full respect, you don't need any of that. I mean, it's just not necessary. Be who you are and just allow it to bubble up. We've been so conditioned. There's a particular type of person I work with. And they kind of feel wrong. There's this innate wrongness. I was literally told by my father, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, And I wasn't. I was a small child. I wasn't wrong. It was just this projection. And there's something about the type of people I work with. It's simply not true. And they're really, really powerful. They're innately powerful and ready to experience that. And they can still feel fear. And that's fine. But fear, again, when I found out that fear wasn't real, I remember standing over there, and I received the fear isn't real, and my jaw dropped because I felt it in my cells. And I was like, oh God, because I get downloads all the time. If I don't write them down, they can go. And it's the most frustrating thing. I think it's inside children as well. I get this, I think it's called mommy brain or something, and I get a bit forgetful. I have to write it down. So I did a piece of paper. So I wrote it on the wall. I wrote down the thing on the wall. I kind of knew we'd be renovating soon. So, and I wrote it on the wall, and it was like, fear isn't real. And I can't remember what it was, but it was like Endgame. I felt it in my cells. Now, just to make a distinction there, when I'm talking about fear, I'm talking about psychological fear. Oh, what if? Oh, what if this happens? And am I good enough? And anxiety. I'm not talking about the fear that we need to keep us safe. So you say thank you very much to that fear. That fear is something to be really, really grateful of. There's something, you're in danger, you're getting a alert sign in your body, get out of here. You listen to that intuitively and you get out. I'm talking about psychological fear. That will really, really tie you up in knots and cause anxiety and all of that. And it's not real. That's an illusion too. And when you make space for this, like this is what I love working with people and making space. And then all of a sudden, all the ideas start to flow. And it's like, oh my God, ideas. Like, oh, and it's really exciting, And then passion can come online and just everything. It's like this innocence. It's who they really are. This innocence as well comes online and they realize who they really are. It's not this boxed in version that they thought they were. And it's a beautiful thing to see and to witness.
Amazing work. So can we unpack the 3 stages of awareness that you're talking about? You mentioned you can feel it in your body and you're able to release, people call it blocks or certain traumas that we hold.
That's in the 3 stages of awareness. That's the becoming aware listening practice. The hair sticking up like I don't know what. There we go. Nothing we can do about that. That's becoming aware listening practice, which is in the 3 stages of awareness. So what that involves is just going off somewhere, literally, I do it now. It takes about 30 seconds, but when you're just starting, it might take about 2 minutes, and I don't actually have to use it in the beginning. I use it all the time because it's a bit like peeling layers of an onion. There's, we go through a lot of trauma. The energy gets stuck in our body like a standing wave. I'm really into sound healing, and I work with sound with clients as well, if they wish. And so I use tuning forks, and it's unbelievably fascinating. Sound can pick up where there's dissonance in the biofield, even remotely. So you can be anywhere in the world and you can do it remotely. It's just unbelievably fascinating. But anyway, trauma can get stuck, energy can get stuck in the body. So it's important to acknowledge it. So you can literally just put your hand on your heart and acknowledge. So instead of running away or scrolling or this kind of thing, and that energy and the flight or fight, or just go to the fridge, or some people might have a glass of wine, or they'll scroll, or they'll shop, and just know, nope, not doing that anymore. And you just stop and you give yourself permission. And if you want, you can put your hand on your heart, because when you do that, your attention goes there. And that's, it's so important. Your attention is hugely powerful. And you stop and you just acknowledge what is arising in that moment, because you could have been running away from it because you don't want to face it, don't just pretend. And the power that you take back when you say no more, whatever it is, this could be big or small, and you just acknowledge it. And you ask yourself, well, where in my body do I feel this? Where do I feel it? And again, it could be in one of the feeling centers, very often the solar plexus. If it's something to do with communication or expression, you probably feel it here, like a block here. If it's something, to do with relationships or love, you could feel it in the heart. If it's to do with personal power, it could be in the solar plexus, and it could be just like a tight fist that you feel in your solar plexus. And upon acknowledging it, you can, even with placing your attention there, you can allow it up and out, and you can allow it to leave. There are a few more steps, with connecting with your inner child on this. This energy can literally leave your field and it is gone forever. that particular energy is gone forever. It's not like you do this practice once and you're done. That's like saying, well, I had a shower 6 months ago, so that's great. No,
That's a great analogy.
yeah, you can't keep doing it, because at what age are we? How many decades have we been on the planet? There's been a fair amount of trauma, and it could be just the way somebody looked at you or something. It doesn't have to be something huge. It could be anything. You can't even remember. I am not into going back and digging up and remembering. I just, no, don't want to do that. Um, so I ask that the lesson be learned in my body, and it is. I'm not into analyzing everything. I want to enjoy myself. I don't want to analyze stuff like that unless it's pertinent. The energy can literally leave your body, and you might find yourself yawning. You can go back and ask, you can have a little dialogue with your inner child. What did it need at that time? And you'll probably find yourself crying. Or maybe even laughing, because sometimes laughter is repressed when we're younger, and this energy, we're walking around this baggage for decades. Like, it's kind of, when you think of it, it's really best to get out, gone, and so that you feel lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter every time you do this, and it just takes the weight off. It's so refreshing and wonderful. And I used it when I got it. This was one of the tools, because I got other tools when I received that download, because it was over a period of 2 months, and that became the 3 stages of awareness. So this is just one little tool. God almighty, it was life-changing for me, because I was going through a lot of stuff at that time. There was a lot of like family of origin stuff, and it was causing me a lot of pain. And this is how I dealt with it. So I'm profoundly, profoundly grateful, because it's just gone now. And as I say, that beautiful well-being comes up, and we can live from who we really are. We can release in love. It's not even a big deal of forgiveness or anything, because beyond all that, it's releasing in love and getting on with your life.
So we ask it to be released
no, you don't even need to do that. No, it just releases when you place your attention on it, and then you can ask your child within, what were the words you wanted to hear? So you could go back and be brought back to, say, memory. Something will pop up. Where you could say, where did you feel this? When did you feel this before? And without even trying, a memory will come up, more than likely. And if it doesn't, that's absolutely fine. And then you can ask your inner child, what are the words you wanted to hear? And then words will pop up, like, you're so special. I love you so much. Or some kind of words, something will come up. And you absorb those. And then you might find yourself crying or releasing, yawning, whatever it is. And it releases. And that's it. Literally, what you've been carrying around, say something happened to you when you were 7, or, it could be absolutely anything from your parents divorcing, to your cat dying, to your friend looking at you in a funny way. It could be anything. And this is carried around in our biofield. No wonder people go around feeling so heavy. That energy, once it's acknowledged, can leave. You don't ask it to leave. It wants to leave. It's like holding, a beach ball. And it takes a lot of pressure. You have to hold it under the water. You know the way you really have to hold it under the water. And it's like, oh God. And then when you allow and stop resisting, what happens? It automatically pops up of its own accord. Bye-bye. It wants to leave. It's not, well, I don't want to say it's not natural, but it
doesn't serve you.
Yeah, it's not serving you. It just leaves anyway. And then you're left, oh my God, and it feels so much lighter. And it's just delicious to have this, to go through your life having a tool, because sometimes it's like, oh God, heavy, and the trauma, and it's no fun, So having a tool to deal with it empowers you, because it's like, oh my God, I don't have to deal with all it. I don't have to carry this baggage around with me. It can just go and go and go and go, and I can get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And it's wonderful, because we have to be practical. We have to have you don't have to have tools. That's not true, but some people, can just enlighten. You can be enlightened in a moment. It's more likely that we need tools to let go. And then, I think we owe it to ourselves to live the life, the juicy, creative, fulfilled life we were born to live. And this is how you can do it. Because we've been through so much, especially the empaths and the beautiful, your listeners, come on. You know, you and your listeners, there's certain when you tap into that audience. Beautiful, my God. Don't you owe it to yourself to let go of struggle and know who you really are so that you can live this juicy life of all people, of carrying so many people for so many years, putting everybody else first. It's time to give to yourself now. It's time, especially now. I mean, it's so supportive now for coming into our truth so that we can express our gifts and play. It shouldn't be so heavy. I know it is heavy looking out there. Well, it doesn't have to be that heavy all of the time. You're powerful, you're magnificent. It's time to let go of struggle and know who you really are and live from who you really are. Live from, you're multidimensional. You're not just, oh, you're not your body, you're not your thoughts, you're not your mind, you're not your past, you're not your name, you're not your culture. This is all what society placed upon you from the age of 0 to 7. And it's not even real. I mean, it can serve you, but maybe it's not anymore. Question everything. Question everything. Love is real.
I love that. Wonderful. I mean, I love it, love it. You're so passionate again and inspiring and always be curious. Thank you. Very inspiring for the audience and me. Your spiritual experience at age 6. Do you just mind going into a little bit more detail about that? And you received, it was 7 powerful codes.
That was what I was talking about before.
Right.
So, for example, remember I was saying that the knowingness appeared above me.
Yes.
That was that experience. And yeah, the codes were, and it was unusual because I was like, they were just there. They were just with me. So I knew, for example, that love was in the space of everything. Like growing up, I would hear scientists talk sometimes, and I was like, yeah, that's not, I wouldn't say it to anybody because I didn't have anybody I could talk to about this, but I knew in my heart that no. So for example, they'd say, space is empty. I knew that wasn't so. They say, it's impossible to go faster than the speed of light. I knew that wasn't so. And then I remember the first time I heard the expression junk DNA, and I thought, that's not so. I just knew it's only because they can't express it because they're just coming from their mind. So I knew that love, and I mean unconditional divine love, that we can't, you can't even compare it with human love. I knew that was in the space of everything, and it was the force, so to speak, that held everything together. That was one of those codes. So yeah, so these codes now, when I'm working with people, we apply them to their life as individuals. Because that's, so people are attracted to me. It's time now. It's like a destiny thing. It's like we met in the ethers and now it's time to come together in the physical. And I knew, for example, that linear time wasn't real. And I knew that the past and the present and the future was all happening at once simultaneously.
My favorite subject. Sorry to interrupt. One of my favorite
really?
subjects. Yes.
Really? Yeah. And I know told you about this. It was just there in the background. And I knew that. It was just a knowing. So everything was simultaneous. And the funny thing is, I did God, it's hard to talk about this. My first art show, the very first painting I sold was called One Eternal Moment.
Wow.
Because I was trying to convey this. How do you, my God, on a 2-dimensional surface, well, 3-dimensional, I suppose. I use very thick paint and stuff. But yeah, the very first at my first show, One Eternal Moment, trying to convey this. I was like, yeah, I sold a painting, woohoo. But yeah, somewhat challenging trying to convey that in art, but I always wanted to convey. That's why I write poetry. That's why I express myself through art, because it's very it's not that it's difficult. It's it's delightful, and it's beautiful, and it's stimulating and exciting to allow this creativity up. And like creativity and, for example, intuition is a huge part of my work that I help people with, because when you tap into your intuition, you can receive guidance. So intuition to begin with is, if you just want to, what is intuition? Because we'll talk about it all the time. So it's, I feel, guidance, or, knowing information that comes from wisdom, that comes from source through your authentic self. And it's always right. It's infallible. That being said, the issue that we might have with it is you're not picking it up correctly. You're not able to receive it correctly. And why is that? I found that the two main reasons for this kind of interference, or like distortion from conditioning or whatever, but two main things are stress and mind chatter. So mind chatter very often gets in the way of receiving your intuition. Again, the becoming listening practice and letting go of that energy and calming your mind, maybe meditation, just being out in nature, walking. It doesn't even have to be meditation, just be in silence, be in stillness in nature. Listen to the bees, watch the grass. So always having to do something like, oh my God, I gotta do, have to do, should. What if you didn't? What if, like 10 minutes, you could let all that go, and give yourself, just look at the grass. Just look at the grass and do nothing, and this is when we connect with who we really are. Where was I going with that? Intuition. I lost my train of thought, Louisa. Where was I going?
Well, you were just saying, how does one connect with your intuition? And you
Oh yeah,
were
stress
talking
and
about
mind chatter. That'll get rid of the mind chatter. Stress very often. Now, that's not to say if somebody's in a very stressful situation, they won't receive it. Absolutely not. There are times in our lives when we will receive it. But it's so important. We give our loyalty so often to the fear and the stress. It's very important to instead don't give your allegiance to fear and anxiety, but instead to who you really are, to the love that you are, to the knowing that you are. And like, set time aside and say, oh, I am going to open up to my intuition. I'm not going to allow myself, well, the way you think that fear and worry, different expressions of fear, like worry and anxiety, they'll lead you home, or they'll never lead you to safe passage, ever. And we have to see that and really call out what it is. Never will any expression of fear lead you home. It's a distortion, it's an illusion. So why not give your loyalty instead to who you really are, and to the love and power that you really are, and make time in your day to tap into your intuition. Okay, this and this and this area. Okay, what feels a bit, what's coming up for me? Okay, I'm going to ask my intuition about this and go out in nature and tap into that. And so it's an ever-present stream of guidance. It's always there. Don't ever think that you have to, be a certain way. It's always there. I mean, how amazing is that? That there's an ever-present stream of guidance waiting now to assist you. Like, that is so comforting. So you can tune into that. And how it's really very, very, very simple. You can tune in again. You can, like, say if you have an issue or problem, you can kind of like hold the energy of it. I don't mean to be abstract, but you know what I mean? Just, okay, think of the problem, whatever. And then ask yourself in your body, like somatically, does this feel light and expansive? Like, or if I took that path, does that feel light and expansive in my body, using your solar plexus or your heart or something? Or does it feel heavy and contracted? And your body will tell you, like, your body will tell you as well. If it feels heavy and contracted, that's not who you are, because we are light and expansive. That's who we really are, like, fundamentally. That's why we resonate with it. The whole point. It's such a simple point that we could miss. Feeling good. That's why feeling good feels good, because it's who we really are. And I don't mean feeling good like having, things that are bad for you. Oh, well, I'd have chocolate and wine and all this stuff. I mean, really, very, fundamentally good for you, not just momentary pleasure. And so if it feels heavy and kind of contracting, well, you might want to reconsider and really do it and really take action. Take action on that. Don't just go, well, that's nice. You have to ground it.
Sorry.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Often we can get so caught up with our direction that we've set for us, we don't even want to listen to our intuition.
Exactly.
That can be a problem as well, because this is how it has to be and this is what I want to do.
Yes.
And
exactly. we decide this is how it's got to be, and you don't want to move from there, this intransigence. And you just have to be very loving and honest with yourself and go, is this serving me? Is this actually serving me? And if it's not, you just do it. Give yourself permission to let go, acknowledge what's arising for you, let it go and see what's waiting to be birthed, what's waiting to be expressed. Like, it's like what I said, this ever-present stream of guidance. And it's different, by the way. Some people might be listening going, how's that different to that egoic? How do I tell? What's intuition? What's the egoic chattery voice in my head? And what I'd say is the egoic voice is like, it's fear-based and it's heavy and contracted. Whereas the voice of your intuition, by the nature of its guidance, it is quiet, it is subtle, it is always loving. It'll never like put you down or anything like that. That is not your intuition. So it's gentle and it comes from stillness, and it will be accompanied by a feeling of peace and knowing. It's like you just know, as opposed to the egoic chattering voice would be loud and usually not very kind. You might have a voice in your head. It's usually the voice of a parent or a teacher who was not, it's not a very kind voice, maybe a very critical voice. That is not your intuition. Don't listen, run fast, run far. Listen to your intuition. Don't give your allegiance to anything that's a distortion. We're done. We're done with that, especially now at this time of awakening when other people, I'm so excited, phew, I'm not my own anymore. That's what it felt like. Other people are waking up, because it felt a little bit isolating for me, growing up with absolutely nobody to talk to about any of this, so I'm delighted. So again, just allow the insights to occur. Throat, heart, solar plexus. Listen to your body, enjoy your body. We have a body for a reason. Why not enjoy it? Why not enjoy our senses? Why not enjoy like the fragrance of our senses? They can give so much pleasure. Why not? Beautiful, simple things. Enjoy, rather than wanting to escape or going, oh, I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. Oh my God, you have a body. I mean, and you think about gratitude and what you're grateful for. Oh, there's nothing I'm grateful for. You're breathing. You're breathing.
Great point.
And like, there is so much to be grateful for. There's just so much beauty. And one of the things that I've always known is that this passes in, and I can't even say the blink of an eye, because the blink of an eye would take a moment. And where we really live, like 98% of us, even right now, where we live is beyond time and space. Okay. So it's not even the blink of an eye. It goes, I don't know the word, so quickly. It's not even quick. It's not distance. It's gone. My point is, you may as well enjoy it. You may as well enjoy having senses and a body, and my full respect and witnessing of how bloody hard it can be to be here on Earth. I get it. I get it. Okay. I'm here. I get it. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't, and we don't have to remain on our knees. I'm living proof of that, because, I did have a hard time and I did not want to be here. Look at me now. So I'm living proof of it. And the people I help are living proof of it. You can transform your life, and just, it's not even from a place of, oh my God, I transform my life. It's just for the joy of it. And of course, other things happen, like, soulmates and greater financial flow, and just juicy living. Like, I set up a sanctuary here. I set up horse sanctuary and I planted 200 trees and 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 you know, one with nature. And you can do that. You can tap into your dreams. I didn't realize, but I did always want to do that. I always want to travel the world, and I did that. And um, you can tap into your dream and don't think, oh well, they can please. I know what that feels like. Oh, it's okay for them, and that's them. They'll do, that's I can't. Because I kind of felt that years ago. That it's just not the case. It's not. So please, you can tap into your dreams, and you can live a juicy, creative life, and you were born to live it, and it's waiting for you.
And it feels so much damn better, doesn't it?
Oh my God, it is so much.
One thing I just wanted to say about the intuition, I don't know who's listening to this, but it keeps coming up for me, is also with the intuition opposed to the egoic mind or the fear.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to do it right now. For me, that
Mm.
probably is not necessarily intuition. You have to
Mm.
do it right now, unless it's some emergency.
Yes.
I think it's gentle and slow.
Mm. Mm. Totally. It's gentle, it's loving. So if ever it's unkind, you're or judgmental or critical, that is not your intuition. That's a distortion. It's a voice from the past. It's mind chatter. That's not your intuition. I'm telling you that your intuition is loving and kind, and it's never wrong. It's infallible. It is never wrong. As I said, sometimes it can be misinterpreted because we're up to here with stress or mind chatter or whatever it is. It's never wrong. And it's there, always here for us, like an ever-present stream guidance here for us, just like perfect well-being is here for us in every moment. Nobody's taking it away. Nobody's taking it away. You know, when we're children and stuff is taken away from us, and you feel powerless and small and boxed in. That's not happening anymore. That's not happening anymore. It's time to take our power back. The time has come for us to take our power back.
Yes. I want to go on to the future of humanity in a minute, but just to backtrack on the past, present, future, if it's all happening consecutively, in your opinion, does that mean the future has already occurred?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. It's almost like, I mean, you could go into, which I'm not going to go into, you know, the precession of the equinoxes and time being a Mobius strip and all of that. And then we have the whole idea of free will. And well, if it's already happened, then do I have free will? And how I'd categorize, in the wrong word, free will would be it's our soul's choice. So it's the free will of our higher selves. So it's looking at it from a much more broad perspective, where it's not just me, human, going around and what do I want? It's more what your higher self is choosing. Like every single day, I make the declaration, among others, I'm on my soul's highest path. And then I had, because I'm only human, and I choose for it to be easy, simple, and smooth. You know, because I don't want the 4x4. Thanks very much. I'm kind of done with that. I want smooth. I choose smooth. So, yeah, it's all now. Like this is something that's very hard to convey in words. I can feel it. I wish I could do the Vulcan mind meld to to get the point across to people, you know, because I can feel it now. But the frequency, if they're open to it, they will feel the frequency of anything I'm saying, and it'll like tuning forks resonating at the same hertz. It'll spark something in them, and they'll know it. If it feels light and expansive, wonderful. If it doesn't, then don't.
It's not for you.
Yeah.
Marianne, a big congratulations on your book, From Longing to Belonging.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
What's a bit about it for the audience? A snippet of the book.
God, that one I was like, just I absolutely had to write it. It was like, boom, write it, write it, write it, and then it was done. Um, uh, that it has the becoming aware listening practice in it, and the mind loves to understand why we do things. So I did write about why that works, because it had such, that alone, and that's only one tool in my 3 stages of awareness program, but that had such a profound effect on my life. And then after I'd embodied it and shared it with other people, such a profound effect on their lives, that I thought, I'll put it down here. So it's going through that, what I was talking about, and explaining why and how it works and all of that. So it's a beautiful book, and I've had really, very gratifying feedback. Not only does it work really well and change lives, but like people calling it their happy place, and they take it with them, and they use it, and it's practical, and it's grounded, and I've all my life I've wanted to alleviate suffering. I have a sanctuary now. I've always taken in animals and everything. I've always had this very strong thing where I've wanted to alleviate suffering, and I don't like to think of people suffering. And so this is a way to help people let go of what's holding them back, because I want to see them. I do have a very positive vision for humanity, and I do want to see people thrive. So it's in, they can get it on Amazon, whatever. And I have the audiobook version done as well. Oh my God, that was an experience doing that. But I had to, I really was driven. That took me 6 months to do the audiobook version.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
But
will leave a link for anyone that's listening
yeah.
below.
And it's on my website as well.
And
Yeah.
your website, I'll leave a link as well. But for those that are listening, what's your website and the best place, or the best place for people to connect with you?
Thank you. It's www.letgoandknow.com. So LETGOANDKNOW.com.
Okay.
Letgoandknow.com.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
just the future of humanity briefly. What's your vision for that?
Yeah, I've always had a positive vision for humanity. Like I've always known it's going to work out. I kind of wish people would stop creating and watching apocalyptic films, because it just kind of adds to the morphogenic field. But apart from that, I've always known, and it's something I hold within me. There is a kind of, the way I see it now, like there's a detox going on, and a purging, and that's why things are looking shaky and people are feeling shaky. And if you're empathic, you're picking up on what's going on. And that, yeah, sure, that is going to happen. The next couple of years are going to be interesting from that point of view. I would say, again, I say this with respect, um don't get entangled with the fear. It's very important not to get really emotionally involved with what's going on, over analytical, because it will suck your energy dry. Um, I know that in the future, I've this feeling that things are going to change and become more positive, from the point of view, like I can see telepathy become. I miss that. There's certain things I miss as a. It's a really funny thing to say. I miss telepathy, using words. It's clunky, it's cumbersome. I just want to go back to. I also always had this thing where I just wish people could see me. It's cumbersome for me to have to, even getting to know people. I wish they could just see me. This is me. This is, read my biofield. And even though we can do that, I mean, I'm highly perceptive. Most people cannot do that. And it's like, oh my God, it's so cumbersome. To get to know people. You know what I mean? So I miss that. Um, we're going to see more, that's coming. We're going to see others' truth more readily. That's on the way. Our frequency is going to get lighter and more distilled, kind of refined. And it's glorious. And it's beautiful. And I don't care what anybody says, because I've had, I have these discussions with, oh, but, humanity, and how can that possibly happen? Well, we've come a long way. It wasn't that long ago that people were, eating whatever they were eating and looking at public floggings and executions, in the town square. We have come a long way. We are much more compassionate and inclusive. And I don't know how else to describe it other than I've always had a knowing that and a vision for humanity. And it's not even something I have to hold on to, because I know it's happening now and it's very positive.
Wonderful, wonderful. On a final note, is there anything you'd like to share with the Passion Harvest audience that I haven't asked you?
For anybody who's suffering or in pain, or they feel somebody's taken something away from them, I would love to share with them the knowing that I have in my heart that there is a place within you, an innocence within you that has never been touched by pain or suffering, and that exists now, and you can tap into that and allow it to flow over you and through you, and you can live from there, and you don't ever have to think that anybody's ever taken anything away from you. You're magnificent, you're divine, you're magical.
Oh, I almost, sorry, I almost felt like crying then. That was so beautiful. Did I interrupt you?
No. I was feeling it as well.
I was feeling it.
Yeah, it's just, and that's my wish. That's my wish for them, that they feel that in their body, in every cell, in their energy field. Like, it's time. It's time to let go and know, to let go of struggle and know who you really are.
Beautiful, beautiful. Marianne McGuire, thank you so much for being on Passion Harvest. I'll say it again, and so inspiring, so passionate, and very energizing. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. It's my absolute honor and pleasure to be here, and to be here with your beautiful audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.